Welcome to an MS Views and News Summit. All right, this is called the MS Summit Denver. My name is Stuart Schlossman, not Denver. I want to let you all know that this event is sponsored by numerous pharmaceutical companies tonight, and I wanted to let you know who they are. We have Bristol Myers Squibb, Genentech, and Sandoz are all sponsors of the program itself. And our exhibiting sponsors, we have Alexion, Biogen, Bristol Myers Squibb, Genentech, Ecometrics, because I always say it wrong, Novartis, and Sandoz. And then we have in-kind sponsors, the National MS Society from this great area of that we're in right now, and the Rocky Mountain MS Center all helped us to provide tonight's program. Let's give them a round of applause. So tonight, our presentation is with Trevor Wicken. Trevor Wicken is a movement neurology specialist with a master's degree in exercise science and biochemical analysis. He has every certification imaginable from medical exercise specialist, neurocentric movement specialist, corrective exercise specialist, and strength and conditioning specialist. He calls himself a neuro nerd and obsesses over studying neurology, kinesiology, anatomy, physiology, and biomechanics. Boy, this is a tongue twister, isn't it? All right. Trevor has worked on clients ranging from 9 years old to 97 years old, and his deepest passion lies in working with clients with neurological conditions, including multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, stroke recovery, total brain injuries, and Alzheimer's disease. I could go on and on speaking about you, but I got to get this thing going. So why don't you come running on up, Trevor? Jump up on the stage and take on over. Thank you.
I got to make you work for it, dude. Tongue twister central. All right, we're going to move. So now, if you guys get your food, this will be interesting. You guys get your dinner, and you have to do exercises with me. So it'll be super fun. So why am I here? I love you guys. I have been working with neurodegenerative clients since I was 20 years old, and I am 43. So my entire life has been dedicated to studying the brain, the nervous system, how movement happens, why movement pathologies happen, and then how to counteract those and how to improve the quality of people's lives. So today we are going to be talking about movement medicine and why movement is truly the medicine that I have seen change lives all across the world now. We are now we serve 42 countries across the world. And we have the great honor, myself and my staff, to work with people who don't have the healthcare options that we have in this country. There's a lot of people that don't get the help they need, they don't get guidance, they don't get assistance, they don't have support, and they don't get help with their mindset and dealing with how to create a healing lifestyle, despite the fact that you have a neurodisruptive condition. So that's pretty awesome. So I just want to say thank you guys for all being here. Thank you for the support group leaders. I think you guys are massively important. I've spoken at a lot of support groups, and I love it because community is super important. It's very important you guys are here. It's really cool that you get to connect with other people that are having the same struggles, same victories, same lifestyle issues, same lifestyle opportunities as you are. And I really think that communication and community is really the heart behind the MS gym. And it's only because of my people and my gymmers that I'm able to even stand up here and do it. Because if they're not doing the work, I don't really exist, all right? So let's talk about movement medicine. So movement counteracts MS symptoms. And what we're gonna be talking about today, if you look at this slide, there's 3 circles right there called see, move, and balance. So movement isn't just about movement. Like all of us have been in probably, who's done a fitness program in here? Raise your hand. Cool. Who's done physical therapy in here? Raise your hand. Cool. Who's done yoga, Pilates, something like that, swimming? Okay, so a lot of people. Cool. So you guys know that you need to move, but why? I want you to understand why. I want you to leave this presentation understanding why you need to move, why it's important for your brain to move, why your central nervous system was created to move, and how we can access different parts of your brain to connect with each other and work together so we can get more players on the field to help you counteract your MS symptoms. So here's a fact on research, is that 90% of most fitness and therapy programs available only improve about 1/3 of the central nervous system. Okay, so let that sink in for a sec. And we're going to go back to this picture of what this is. This is a global positioning picture, but I want you to really think about this. And it's not to make another program or therapy look bad or anything like that. It's just there's a lot of information out there that unless you're studying movement neurology for your entire life and 2 decades worth of education and experience, you're just not going to run into this because it's not as mainstream as it needs to be, which is part of the reason why I'm on this stage. So first of all, I love this movie. This is a dude from My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And he says over and over and over again in the movie that everything stemmed from Greek. All the way from the artistry and the music and the language, the Greeks had it all, right? He is super proud to be Greek. Everything stems from Greek. And why do I bring this up? I bring this up because in my world and in your world, in your body, because you are a human being with a central nervous system, everything stems from that central nervous system. So when we build movement programs and we build movement neurology programs to help you counteract your MS symptoms, we want to use the central nervous system, meaning that if you have foot drop, it's effective to go through and do corrective exercises on foot drop, all right? But what if the connection between your brain and your foot ain't working? What if your demyelination has happened on a track from your brain to your foot? What if the neurologic communication from your brain to your foot is so slow that your brain's like, I don't even know what you're asking me to do. I can't find my foot. I'm going to make it numb. I'm going to make it tingly because I don't know how to use it. So it's better if we don't use it because my job is to help you survive. So it's better that we just sit in a chair. That's what happens with neurodisruptive conditions. So what we want to do is we want to go into the central nervous system because it's the most efficient, it's the quickest, it's the most anatomically stable, and this is my favorite, it is the most changeable part of your body. It's the most changeable system in your body by the process of neuroplasticity, meaning that the behaviors, the organization, the communication, basically the way that your brain works, that it functions, that it learns, and it communicates can be changed. It can be improved. It can be altered. And the entire reason that the MS gym exists is because we use movement protocols that actually help you access new neurologic pathways that are already in your body to work around the MS damage. So if the road from your brain to your foot is road A and it's a major highway and you've used it your whole life, it's going to be quick, it's going to be wide, it's going to be efficient. It's like an 8-lane highway. But what if MS comes in and it disrupts that highway and it blows a crevice in the middle of it? Can you drive down that highway anymore? No. That means that your brain, the communication from your brain to your foot is going to be disrupted and you're not going to be able to use your foot. But the cool part is that your nervous system has so many different options that you can access road B and road C to get stronger and quicker and more accessible from your brain so that you don't have to use road A anymore, and then you can start to reestablish function, mobility, strength, endurance in the affected parts of your body. Who thinks that's pretty cool? Yeah, there we go. We got an active house. All right. So Neurology 101, this is how your brain works. So when you want to do something, your brain asks these questions. Number one, most vital, is it safe? Your brain will not let you do anything that is not safe because its job is to keep you alive. Number two, how are we going to do it? And number three, what's the plan? All right, so if I'm looking at my shaker bottle over here and I want to go get it, I'm like, okay, I need to go over there. I'm going to instantly, my brain, without me thinking about it, is going to do an assessment of what the ground looks like. How far away is it? Once I get up here, how fast do I need to walk so I don't run in it? When I extend my hand, my cerebellum is going to kick in, which is that little part of your brain that sits under your big cortex, and have the accuracy and balance and coordination to pick it up and then bring it to my mouth to drink, okay? There's a lot of stuff that happens in that little movement. So for me to walk from here to there and pick up that water bottle, drink it, put it back down, there's a ton of functions that have to happen. So in order for everything to go well, in order for that to be a smooth event and an effective event, there's inputs that happen all over your body. So number one is we have external inputs. So those are your senses. So like eyes, ears, nose, taste, touch, all that kind of stuff. So your body brings in sensory information both from the outside and also from the inside. You got exteroception, meaning from the outside, and interoception, meaning how are we doing on the inside? Do we have enough energy to go do that? So once you get that sensory input in, then it gets into your brain where integration happens. So integration is like the huddle, right? I'm a football dude, right? So that's the huddle. You get all these parts of your brain coming in and be like, all right, what's the play we're going to run? What are we going to do? Is this safe? Who's a threat? Who's not? How are we going to get down the field? What's the score? How intense does this have to be? So there's an integration process in your brain that has to happen so that you can create a motor output, okay? I can sit here and look at that shaker bottle full of water all day long, and that's not going to get me any closer. I can think about how I'm going to get over there, pick it up, and drink it. That's not going to put water in my mouth. I have to physically my brain has to create a plan to get over to it, lift it, drink it, put it back down, and then it has to know what to do with the water to get it in my system. So all of this has to take place. It's very simplified in this slide, but if at any point, any of these areas, sensory input, integration, or motor output gets disrupted, that's a threat to your body. When you have a threat to your body, your brain creates protective outputs. Those are your symptoms, okay? Those are your symptoms. So what do we do about it? Okay, so now back to this. So what I just showed you, okay, you have your sensory input, you have your integration, and then you got your motor output. Well, all of that sensory input is vitally important, and not a lot of programs out there talk about or address sensory input. So when we talk about those sensory inputs, this is what we're looking at. So these are the three areas that we really focus on in the MS Gym. These are three areas that if these are not functioning in you as a human being with a central nervous system, things are not going to go well. Your brain will feel like it's under attack. Your brain will feel like its survival is threatened, and therefore you'll create protective symptomatic outcomes, okay? So visual, can you see? It's more than just your eyeglass prescription. It's, do you have depth perception? Can you assess the ground that you're on? Can I be walking towards this and see Bill over here still filming me with my peripheral vision? Can I assess the environment around me to see that that's safe? If your visual fields get messed up, and especially if you've had something like optic neuritis or nystagmus or anything like that, that's going to really throw off your balance. It's going to throw off your brain's ability to actually bring in good sensory input because your eyes are the most important sensory organ in your body. Secondly is your vestibular system. This is your inner ear, okay? Your inner ear is a fascinating organ, right? Set of organs, and it communicates very, very directly with your cerebellum. Cerebellum directly communicates with your brainstem, spinal cord, peripheral nerves, joints, muscles, and then that's what makes you move. So your vestibular system is basically your body's instrument panel, your brain's instrument panel. Its main job is to say which direction are we going and which way is up. It also is very responsible for accuracy, balance, and coordination. So for me to walk over here, I have to have balance and coordination. And for me to reach to get this and not knock it over and make a mess, I have to have accuracy. I have to have coordination. I have to be able to pick this thing up. And if my body's faulty, it's going to pull me forward. But when I do this and I grab it, my vestibular system's like, we're good, dude. Boom, pull it back like that. I'm keeping my balance as I'm drinking. Okay? When your vestibular system gets messed up, that's when you start to have balance issues. That's when you start to get gait abnormalities. That is what eventually leads you to your brain wants to prefer to sit in a chair versus standing upright like this because it can't counteract gravity and ground reaction forces and momentum. But that can be counteracted. You can restore that. We do it all the time. So just have hope when you hear this stuff. And then thirdly is movement. We all focus on breathing. I'm a movement practitioner. I'm a movement neurology geek, right? We all focus on movement. Physical therapy, massively effective. Corrective exercise, massively effective. But that's only a part of the equation. Part of movement that we really focus on as well is can you breathe? Everybody, sit up tall. Okay? I want you to just close your eyes. Take about a 5-second inhale through your nose if you're able, or your mouth. Okay, go ready and go. Breathe in. And now breathe out. Do it again. Breathe in. And breathe out. all the way out. Who feels more relaxed just after 2 breaths? Yeah, people at the back. Who feels like they're sitting up a little bit taller? Okay, some people, right? And that's only 2 breaths, right? If we did that for the next 10 breaths, all of you would be like, man, I feel pretty good. Some of you may be like, ooh, I'm getting kind of hungry. Like, why? Because you're stimulating your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve is the counteraction to sympathetic overload, which is the fight or flight response, which creates protective symptoms and allows all that neurodisruption to happen. When you stimulate your vagus nerve and you upregulate what's called your parasympathetics, that slows down your heart rate. That slows down your breathing, which I need right now because I'm excited, right? That improves digestion, that improves sleep, that improves thermoregulation, that improves bladder control, that improves cognitive function, that improves emotional stability. Massively important, okay? So what I'm going to show you guys is 3 couplings of movement. And I'm going to show you how to use a sensory input and a traditional corrective exercise. When you combine these, and we use visual drills that directly affect the muscles that lift our foot because neurologically they're connected, your exercises become more effective. Who wants more effective exercises? Everybody should have their hands up. Put 2 hands up if you can. Give me jazz hands. All right, good. All right, so we're going to do this, all right? We got spirit fingers here, okay? So if you can, go ahead and scoot out from your table a little bit. Hopefully everybody can see me. Can people see my feet? I wore my white shoes for a reason. Can you see my feet? Who can see my feet? If you can't, can you in the back see my feet? Kinda? Okay, cool. So what we're going to do a visual drill called smooth pursuits. Smooth pursuits is going to activate the muscles in your eyes. Your eyes are connected to your midbrain in your body. We're going into the hokey pokey now, right? The midbrain is connected to your balance centers. The balance center is connected to your ankle bones, right? So we're going to activate the flexors of the body, the eyes, the muscles of the eyes. That's going to directly start to stimulate your anterior tibialis, which is a flexor of your ankle. That's going to turn your ankle joints on, all right? So everybody pick up a fork if you can. Or you can hold your thumb out in front of you. I want you to focus on one of the little pokey things on a fork. What are those even called? Tines? Tines. See what I learned today? I'm like, they're called pokey things in my world. All right, so look at your tiny pokey thing, no, right? So focus on that and hold this at a comfortable distance. Now what I want you to do is slowly keep looking at that tine and just track that without moving your head. Go ahead and track that with your eyes to the right or left, doesn't matter. Then go to the left as far as you can, or the right, whatever. Then go to the other side. Then go to the other side. Then go to the other side. Okay, you want to do this about 10, 20 times, nice and slow. You can always do this faster or slower based on your ability. One more down and back. Your eye exercises are one of the most highest payoff drills you can possibly do in your body. Okay, relax. Close your eyes for a sec. Take a breath in. And blow it out. All right, cool. So now the flexor systems in your body are activated. Now this isn't necessarily magic, but once you do this a number of times, it will work, okay? So what you're gonna do on this drill is, I have a line up here on my stage. You're gonna keep your heel kind of glued to the floor. What you're gonna do is you're gonna pick your foot up slightly, move it to one side. Okay, so I'm on the line, foot goes to one side, your heel stays on the line. Now I'm gonna have you breathe in, I'm gonna have you breathe out and try to pick that foot up and move it across the line. Breathe in, breathe out, pick it up, move it across the line, okay? Breathe in, breathe out, move it across the line. Why are we doing this, okay? Number one, we moved our eyes, so we improved the flexor activation throughout our entire nervous system because we stimulated our midbrain, which is where the cranial nerves live for your eyes. Secondly, I'm having you coordinate your breath with your movement because when you breathe out, that's a flexion-based exercise. When you breathe in, it's extension. If we want to improve flexion, we want to breathe out or exhale as we're trying to lift our foot. We inhale and exhale as we're trying to lift our foot. So we're combining the visual field, the breath control system, which is called your intrinsic kinetic chain, and your dorsiflexors of your foot, which is eventually over time with enough practice will improve your body's ability to create flexion in your body specifically to that foot. Now you can do this with other areas like bicep flexion, wrist flexion, trunk flexion, all that kind of stuff, okay? So these are just samplings of how you combine things. All right, so here let's talk about the next symptom, can't lift my legs. How many people in this room have problems doing hip flexion? Okay? Which leads to things like circumduction gait, okay? Which can lead to things like scissor gait, okay? The reason why you have poor hip flexion is because of lack of what? Flexion in your body, right? So there's another opportunity for us to improve flexion. Most people have they either have too much flexion or too little flexion. We got to balance out extension and flexion in your body, which means this is flexion, this is extension. That movement happens in every single joint, around every single joint, throughout your entire anatomical system, your human movement system, okay? So we're gonna combine breathing with hip flexors. So when we do this, we're gonna focus on, when we do the exhale, like I said, we activate our hip flexors. This is gonna help us strengthen our hip flexors, and this is gonna help us coordinate our breathing with walking. If you have a leg that's more affected than another one, so let's say my left leg is more affected than my right, and because of my Lyme disease, this is my affected leg. I've had foot drop about 12 times on this thing where I couldn't use my feet. I was in bed, I've been in bed probably about 90 to 100 days with foot drop where I was in so much pain and weakness I couldn't get out of bed. But I built it back using this stuff, okay? So when we walk, you're gonna get an exhale, just that short little exhale. If you train your brain to use that, that's gonna help initiate hip flexion and dorsiflexion and knee flexion to help you step forward, and it's gonna help start to mitigate some of that circumduction gait, some of that knee kissing, some of that knee hyperextension, all of it, because everything moves from your hips as a bipedal human being, okay? So here we go. Everybody scoot, if you can, to the edge of your chair, okay? So we're gonna kind of sit to the edge. If you can't get all the way to the edge, sit back so you're sitting up as tall as you can. So scoot your booty back so it's against that chair, okay? So we're gonna do a drill right now called 360 breathing, okay? Very popular in yoga. Wim Hof, if you've heard of him, he kind of like started this whole thing. Super effective, because a lot of people, because we have neurologic symptoms, get very hyperventilative, okay? They hyperventilate. We lose our ability to use our diaphragm to exhale, which takes away our ability to flex. If you look at all these red muscles in the body, look what it is. Jaw, tongue, throat, diaphragm, intercostal ribs, psoas, rectus femoris, pelvic floor. Who in this room has an issue with one of those muscle groups? A lot of you, okay? And I guarantee you that most of us have breathing dysfunction. So what I want you to do is take your hands like this, put them on your ribs, and just push in a little bit, okay? Relax your shoulders. Now, when you inhale, okay, I want you to try to feel your belly and your ribs push out on your hands, okay? So go ahead and do that. Go ahead and inhale. Breathe into your hands. Now, when you exhale, you should feel your ribs pull away from your hands. Exhale. Make it loud, y'all. Okay. Do it again. There you go. I like it. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. From your ribs. And exhale. I'm seeing some yawning already, which is good. Your brain's like, give me more of that awesome oxygen. Okay? So we just activated this intrinsic kinetic chain. So now hopefully your brain's like, okay, I think we know what we're working on now. Now let's get the hip flexors. So from the front of your chair, this one's a little tough. I generally recommend this on your back, but sometimes it's hard for people to get on their back. But go ahead and lean back. So you're kind of scooted forward in your chair and lean back. Sit up nice and tall, okay? Put one foot out, the leg that you're gonna be lifting. Maybe try it with your better leg when you do this, okay? Shoulder blades down, abs are in, spine straight. So I'm gonna have you inhale. I want you to start to exhale, and on that exhale, pull that belly button in and try to pull that leg up, okay? Some of you, this may be very tough, so don't get discouraged, but this whole kinetic chain is connected by your breath. It's the psoas is the exact same connection point as your diaphragm. All right, here we go. Let's try 3 of these. So go ahead and inhale. Exhale. Now start to lift your leg. Pull your abs in. Keep your knee bent, okay? If you need to use your hands, do it. Inhale. And exhale. Does anybody feel like that's a little easier? Nice. So some people raise their hand. That's good. Inhale. And exhale. Cool. And that's how you combine breathing with hip flexors. Okay? Now, this feels weird, and it's kind of a weird approach, but eventually your brain will get so used to coordinating that breath with the joint action and with the muscle activation that this will just become part of who you are and what you do, which means that that intrinsic kinetic chain, which is the kinetic chain that controls your core stability, your core strength, your posture, and your balance, will always be kicking in. This is the first thing to go when you have neurologic disruption. Everything just kind of cascades down, and if you can't breathe, you can't move. Okay, does that all make sense? All right. I just kind of want you guys to be introduced to the concepts of this, and then you can use this stuff, right? So just these 3 little drills have created, they are very high payoff, these little couplings, okay? Which means that there's a lot of brain activation and a lot of good stuff happening. So who in here struggles with balance? Everybody, okay? For those of you not raising your hand, I'll pull you up here and prove it. All right, so balance is directly linked to your vestibular system, okay? Your vestibular system and breathing is very important for extension because a lot of your cerebellar function and vestibular function comes from an area of your brain called your pons. Has anyone heard of the pons? Okay, so the pons and pontine stimulus is what, when we activate the pons, then we actually get balance centers to kick in, and that is an extension area of the brain. Okay, simplicity's sake, it allows you to stand up straight instead of being slumped over like this. What are the main muscles that allow you to do this? Booty party, right? Your glutey booties. So when we want to activate glutes, who in here wants better glutes? Everybody, right? So glutes are directly, they go down, they are innervated by your lumbosacral plexus, which goes to your spinal cord, which goes directly into your cerebellum. So when we actually do vestibular work, this activates our spinal cord, which feeds the hip muscles. When we get the glutes to turn on, we get improved extension in our body, which helps us stand upright, okay? And for those of you that have atrophied glutes, if you improve your vestibular function, and you improve your spinal cord function, you immediately improve your lumbosacral everybody say this with me. I got another tongue twister for you, dude. Lumbosacral plexus function. You immediately increase the tone in your glutes, which will help you get stronger. Okay, so last drill combo here. So everybody sit forward in your seats, and you can do this standing too if you're able. What we're gonna do here is a board rock, okay? So make your body stiff as a board. Put your hands out to the side if you're okay to balance. If not, put them on your thighs. Pull your shoulder blades down and reach towards the floor. Now I want you to sit up as tall as you can, and all I want you to do is rock side to side, okay, like you're on a boat. And I want you to use your obliques and use your spine and use your abs, this cylinder, to stop you from falling out of your chair, okay? So just go short and tight. Really feel this, kind of push in on this area right here. See if you can find some muscle tone in that area, okay? If you want to increase the intensity of it, close your eyes, okay? So just go side to side. You'll really feel yourself and your body stop you on one side, stop you on the other side, stop you on one side, stop you on the other side. I do this standing up, feet parallel and feet staggered when I'm brushing my teeth in the morning, okay? So I got 1 minute each side, 1 minute the other side. My Sonicare tells me when I need to switch, which is awesome. Oops, I didn't mean to do that, okay? So I do this for a minute each time just to get my vestibular system kicking in because it helps out with my back pain. Because my spine functions better when my vestibular system is turned on, okay? Now, hip push-outs. Now, if you had a band, what you would do is you would tie that band around you and pull it across, but we don't have that. So we're gonna get our hips kicking in. What I'm gonna have you guys do is put your hands on the side of your thighs, on the outside of your thighs. Sit up nice and tall, shoulder blades down. We're just gonna do an isometric, okay? So you're gonna push your hands into your leg, push your legs into your hand. Let's hold it for 5 seconds. Okay, ready? And push. 1, 2, find your hips. 3, 4, 5. Relax. Again, and go. 1, 2. This is immediately strengthening your hips and the muscles you're going to use to stand up. 4 and 5. Good. And again, 1, 2, 3. And isometrics. 4, 5. Isometrics are awesome for your brain because it tells your brain and it gives it enough time to map between your brain and the muscles that you're trying to work. If you can stand up, try to scoot forward and stand up and see if you feel stronger. You may or may not, but you may feel like you just kind of got pulled up, okay? I have people do these board rocks and this isometric hold a lot before they do a drill like a sit-to-stand or something like that multiple times, and it's insane what happens after doing this for a couple weeks when your body starts to connect your vestibular system with your hip strength and then improve extension and allows your hips to drive forward instead of you trying to pull your body back. Your hips do what they're supposed to do, and that's what allows you to stand up with more strength, stand up for longer so you have more endurance, and reduce the fatigue in your system so you don't feel like you have to sit down. I don't even know where my clicker went. Oh, there it is. Does that all make sense? Is that cool? So this is how you activate and you combine sensory inputs in your brain to allow better integration with the flexion extension balance in your body, which you need to stand upright and walk. And this creates better motor outputs in your system, which allows you to move better with less strain, less exhaustion, and less symptoms, okay? So 3 big takeaways here, and then you guys can eat. Number 1, I'm the opening act, by the way. Did you guys figure that out? All right. So number 1, central nervous system training is specific. If we want to work on extension, we need to create drills and practice drills that target the extensors of the body. If we want to create flexion, we need to activate areas of the brain that then talk to the muscles that create flexion in your body. So if we want to train specific adaptation to impose demands happens. If you want to walk better, you need to train the muscles that help you walk. You don't need to sit on a leg press machine and do leg presses and just hope that that helps you walk. Will it get you stronger? Yes. But when are you going to lay on your back and push a car off you? Probably not going to happen. How many of you want to be able to walk to the kitchen, to the bathroom, from your car, and everything else better? Raise your hand. You need to train specific then. Okay? Central nervous system reduces symptoms. The better that your central nervous system balance and function is, the less your symptoms are going to be. And finally, movement is medicine. All right? So if you want more of this, you can go check us out on themsgym.com. I'll be around after all these awesome physicians and specialists talk. I'm just the neuro geek movement guy. So you guys can come talk to me afterwards if you want any more information. So anybody who's in the MS Gym, raise your hands. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. These are my people. This is why I do what I do. I love you guys, and I'm just honored to be on this stage with all these people.
Thank you very much, Trevor.
Yep.
Does anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions for Trevor? Come on, there's got to be at least one question, right?
They just want to eat, man.
They just want to eat. I got it.
They just want to eat.
But here's the thing. I want to know, what do you tell people when it's too hot outside? What do they have to do?
Too hot?
Too hot.
Breath work. Okay.
What do they have to do? What do they have to do to maintain their core in heat or hot conditions? People live in South Florida.
Yeah. So
or Phoenix.
What I've found, like thermoregulation, is an autonomic function, right? So there is some sympathetic that kicks in once you need to start sweating to bring yourself back down and actually regulate. Or if you're too cold or too hot, you're dysregulated if you stay there. You need to regulate that function in your system. So breath work, vagus nerve stimulation, so things like singing, humming, breath work, long exhales, long inhales, everything we just did, and slow movements will help from a brain standpoint, is what we've seen in the MS Gym. And then also, externally, stay hydrated. That's going to help you thermoregulate. And then also like cooling vests and all that other stuff. Like you can always use that. It's good. Your brain, my brain likes cold. So when I'm doing therapy stuff, my brain likes cold and my sensory function works better on my feet, my hips, my neck when I've chilled it out and I've cooled it first. So when I'm lifting and I'll go and like, let's say like I've built myself back up to doing deadlifts again, I'll actually put a cold press on my neck and my back real quick, then I'll approach the bar and go. And I kid you not, just by doing that, when I figured it out, my deadlift went up 43 pounds in one effort. I was like, what the heck just happened? Like, this is super weird, right? Just because my body's like, oh, that was the sensory input that I needed in my brain to calm it down for my back and my neck, and all of a sudden I got stronger. What else?
Next one's out here. Left field. What did I say earlier? You don't get the microphone.
That's center field, man.
I can't help it. So I'm from New York originally, and I've noticed a new symptom since I've been in Colorado. I think it might be because I didn't walk around barefoot in New York, but if I touch cold floors, my legs just give out. So is that something that's new symptom-wise, or is it just because I didn't know that I was cold sensitive?
I'd have to know your history to know like if it's new or if there's like a pattern. Like your neurologist would know better. But from like a movement standpoint, like you're the opposite of me. Your body your feet receptors, your joint receptors in your feet may not know how to process cold. So there's sensors in there. There's chemo, there's baro, there's mechano, there's nociception, there's all these and there's like thermoregulatory sensors in there. So you may be someone that you like vibration on your feet, or you like heat on your feet, or maybe you like sand on your feet or something like that. You need to play around with that to see what's going to actually counterbalance that cold when your feet hit it.
Will it come back if I keep forcing myself to do it? Do you know what I mean? Like, so if I keep putting my feet in cold.
Possibly. So right now it's too much for your brain, so it sees it as a threat, so your body will freak out. So I would if that's a problem, then I would incrementally train your brain to, it's called progressive threat reduction. So get water cooler and cooler like every couple weeks. See if you can go a little bit colder. It's like all these crazy people that do cold plunges. Dude, I hate that kind of cold. Like I freak out. So I'm like trying to I'll get in a warm shower and then I'll just kind of gradually drop the temperature. Because if I step straight into a freezing cold shower, I'm like, like my heart freaks out. My body does not like it. And I'll actually muscle test myself. If I step into too cold of water, my back will seize up. But if I gradually do it over like 5-6 minutes, I actually improve function. So my range of motion in my spine gets better, knowing that I can progressively reduce that threat of cold.
And my last one is there a quick tip to get rid of the knee kissing?
Lots of movement consistently.
So should I just in my mind, I'm trying to think of if I'm on an exercise bike, which
so what I
normally
would
they go
do
together,
is
do I push out?
So what we just did, so I would get like a rolling pin and I would work on myofascially releasing those muscles to upregulate the parasympathetic connection to your adductors. Those are gonna calm those down, which is the main reason for knee kiss, okay, part of it. And then work on isometric contractions in those, of the hip abductors, like your hip external rotators, push out into your hands or into a band, maybe 5 reps, 5 seconds, and then get on the bike and see what happens, right? So do a set of that, pedal, pedal, pedal. If you start to notice your knees kissing in, stop, do the same drill again. Roll out, roll out, roll out, stretch it for a little bit, and then boom, push out into those hips to get them activated and see if your body starts to be like, oh, this actually isn't a threat. I feel good doing this. Does that make sense?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? We have a question for you from online, all right? Can these exercises for the elderly, so there's no humping over as they age? That's what she wrote, or he wrote, but I don't really know what it is other than to say, is there any exercise to stop people from leaning forward?
So that's what we went over, okay? So the main things that are gonna help you stand upright are your extensors of your body, your posterior chain, posterior kinetic chain. Posterior kinetic chain are glutes, hamstrings, erector spinae, quadratus lumborum, neck extensors, neck flexors pull you back, right? So by working on vestibular function, and I mean, you can combine a lot of different things, but for simplicity's sake, when you work on vestibular function, so doing this, like we did a board rock side to side, but you can also do one front to back, okay? This trains your vestibular system to go forward and back and control momentum. So by doing that, and then doing something just as simple as coming down like this, and then using your hips to stand back up, coming down, and then using your hips to stand back up, that's working on extension, that's working on posterior chain integration, which creates more highly effective motor output to help you stand upright and get out of flexion. Does that all make sense?
Yes, that's it. So if there are no more questions, any more questions out here? Trevor?
Sherry.
Wait. Need the microphone. Doesn't matter. They can't hear you online.
We know Sherry. It's all right. I know
How
Sherry.
do I join the MS Gym?
How do you join? Well, there's a number of different ways. So this is our website, which has everything on it. So we have close to like 2,000 pieces of free stuff out there, right? Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, on the interwebs, right? Because I really want to give you guys as much free stuff as possible because I want you to play around and see that movement is safe for you. I want you to play around and see what exercises work for you, what don't, all that kind of stuff. So that's free stuff, right? We just came out with a product that we called Symptom Solutions, which is like $15 a month or something like that. It's pretty affordable for people, most people. That is an entire library. There's 195 videos right now that are categorized by symptoms. So you can go into Symptom Solutions, type in your symptoms, it'll give you all these lists of 2 to 3 minute exercises, just like we did today, that you can focus individually. And then I actually have sections where I combine them, just like we did today, that you basically just press play, you get to see my pretty face, right? And then you just get to follow along. Right? So there's that option. Then we have a full membership option, which includes structured exercise programs and a community support group of over 3,500 people that have gone through it, worked through it. They're just like you. Like they've struggled through it. They found victory through it. And so those are the offerings that we're kind of putting out right now. So a lot of different ways. We just want to meet you where you're at. Like I just want to get movement into people's hands so that they can start experimenting with this and start feeling better. All right? Love you guys. Thank you. Enjoy your food.
Thank you. So again, though, for tonight, I do want to thank our sponsors. I mean, it was very important. It was very nice that they were here with us. And our sponsors for tonight, we had Sandoz, Bristol-Myers Squibb, and Genentech. So let's give them a round of applause. And let's say good night, world. It's late, especially for those in New York. Oh, my gosh.